Okay, welcome back. After party number 44.
I have no idea.
44.
Yeah,
44.
I wrote that down earlier, but
It's a nice even number.
Sessions 131, titled Distractions. 132, Wading into the Fray. 133, The New Batch Part 1. And 134, I bet you can't guess the title of this one. The New Batch Part 3.
I did consider just not naming anything the part 2. And just leave.
Yeah, the lost episode.
Yeah, exactly.
Really throw people off.
Yeah.
You know, I think this is the best set of 4 we've had in a long time.
Yeah, you know what? We may as well
Yeah,
get
it
that
is.
out of the way early.
This is like top 2 of our sets of 4.
Oh, easy.
Exactly.
Easy. Well, we finally got some fucking combat. It has been a long time since
Lots of
we've had a
combat.
fight. Yeah, there was lots
We had
of
some
combat.
good combat. Yeah.
I don't think the combat, did it feel particularly challenging to any of you?
No.
I wasn't like really scared I was going to die, but I was scared that like if we screw it up, things could get bad. Cuz like when you've got the potential for one of your like the Neogi can really throw a wrench at things. If they can
true.
turn one or two of us against us.
We have protection.
Yeah,
All you guys got to do is remember to use it.
And
protection
remember that it
works,
takes your full
which is
action.
Good.
Yeah.
Great.
Yes.
Which we did not do the first time it was activated, but
I think that we struggled as players because we just want to get to Drukal, and it was like, but we gotta, like, what would our character do? And it was a little bit like, do you know what I mean? I don't
You
know.
mean whether we go down to into
Yeah,
the water
like-
or not?
Yeah, because Elena's like, it's just like 2 villagers. They're probably hopeless, but, you know, it's like Mia wouldn't just abandon them.
I mean, I think we're on a timeline, but for us, it's not. We've got some time, right? You know, it's a week.
Yeah.
And Aspara, a week is like forever.
right, it's a century long. I was honestly surprised at the hoeing and humming about it, because you immediately took a detour to check out the old caves to check if they were still abandoned. So I was
Right.
actually kind of surprised that the hesitancy, I wouldn't say reluctance, I would say hesitancy to spend further time on this. Ultimately, though, by the end of it, you've now put yourself about a half a day's behind of where you would have been had you ignored it. Whether or not that's going to, obviously, the future will only tell if that's going to bite you in the ass, but...
I think it was too tempting to go check out the old cave just to see if there was any Neogi still there or leaving or anything.
Yeah.
We were only a half an hour walk or whatever.
All Shaft has to say is it's like pertaining to gathering information on the Neogi, and Mia's like, okay, I don't see why not. But then the Neogi actually show up, and it's like, frick, like, definitely she wants to drop everything, but yeah, like, it was just, I don't know.
Knowing there's nothing there is good knowledge to have, right? That
Yeah.
cave
Yeah.
has not been... Because I think the last time we were there, you destroyed all the eggs, or at least the ones that we knew of.
Yeah.
Falzern did.
And
Yeah.
it was...
like fireball them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So, no, it was good information.
I think I thought of checking the Neogi cave as a quick scouting mission to gather intel with trying to avoid any possibility of combat, right? Like if you see bad guys, okay, you sneak back and turn around, and whereas following them down into the cave, you're probably going to fight.
Right.
Following the Neogi that we encountered down into the cave.
You guys said, like, did you all feel like it wasn't challenging or like you wouldn't die? Because I felt like freaking helpless when I was charmed or whatever that was. Like, I was getting scared.
I wasn't scared.
I didn't even get down half on my health, so I wasn't scared.
Okay. I was less than half for sure, and then I had, like, no ability to do anything. That was kind of scary.
Yeah. I think that was the real danger of this encounter, was that if
Yeah, I didn't care about that.
Yeah,
I wasn't
Shakara,
worried about
like-
that at all.
Base
You're just
charisma,
worried about your aching
16
hip
or
or something or whatever.
Oh,
Yeah, like, I was rolling terrible, too. Like, all those combats, I rolled terrible. And then Bryn died in the caves. Oh, it was just bad. I think I just had, like, I had memories on the mind.
I mean, you're all at the level where constructing a challenging combat, it gets increasingly more and more difficult for me because, one, I've always said that I am just terrible at creating a balanced encounter. I'm just not great at crafting level appropriate encounters, it seems, which is where a lot of potential, which is where the ability to, fudge a roll, it's helpful for me. And also why when I see like DMs say they never fudge in their roll in front of, like, I don't know how they can get away with that, because I need to potentially rely on that so I don't TPK, half the time.
Yeah.
Or
right.
I don't get that either.
Or it being
or swing it the other way.
Exactly,
yeah.
the other way, and then you just steamroll the whole encounter. So the encounters need to take on a different challenge, which is, of course, came the pescatarians part of it, right? Because they were a factor of it.
The village people.
The village people, yes. The multiple sets of village people. So it's tough. It's getting harder to make a level of appropriate encounter that isn't more, you know what I mean, like a straight up brawl. Because I could have made an encounter like that, but I don't know.
Well, they may not fudge rolls, but they may change the hit point value.
Sure. Well, yeah. I mean,
right?
Exactly. You're right. You don't necessarily need to adjust or do anything with your actual die roll to be able to on the fly balance an encounter more for your party. That's absolutely true. So that all makes sense. But I don't know. I think of that as being the same thing personally. But
yeah,
you're right.
Well, the problem is you get a big bad. Somebody's got 400 or 500 hit points, something really nasty, right? But it's 4 of us against it, so we're getting 4 attacks for its 1, even though they have legendary actions and things like that. And we can do some hellacious damage if we're all rolling well. So there's no possible way you can really balance something out, because you don't know the random factor that's going to happen, too.
Yeah, that's true. And like you say, you're protected against the Neogi. I mean, of course, the Neogi, the first thing they're going to try to do is enslave something, right? They both tried and failed, and then did not attempt to try to do it again. I mean, mechanically, it's not like they can just go ahead and do it right away, because that actually technically is a recharge ability for them if you're going off of their stat block. But even, narratively, they saw your head things glow, right, and start to flash, and they're not stupid creatures. I think up until now, this enemy and this villain, I guess, and I actually just finished listening to what is that podcast? I forget the name of the podcast. I'll look it up for it later.
Party.
Yeah, I was just listening to the Incorrigible Party, the only podcast that I ever listened to. But no, it was an episode about villains, and they kind of went over the villain archetypes. That is like
DM something, wasn't it?
Narrative. Yeah, I'll find the name. But up until the point now, one of those archetypes is like the beast, just an enemy that is just what it sounds like. It's just a mindless entity out to destroy and do damage or maim or kill or whatever, right? I think up until now, the Neogi have seemed like that. And we had, the only real non-combative interaction with the Neogi that any of you had is Mia more than a year ago, right? So not even part of the current timeline of the campaign. That's all in Mia's past. So I think for the rest of you, I'm sure the Neogi just seem like this force that need to be overcome through physical means. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Shakara's only dealing with them has been as basically a beast. They haven't, like, we were all surprised when they were using Eldritch Blast and they were using spells and things.
Right.
Yeah, that's a fair.
Didn't expect that.
Surprised when they started hybridizing with the frickin' Chules, like.
Right.
Yeah.
That is like a huge discovery.
Was that
for me?
a Leland thing, the hybridization and the eggs in the chests of the humans?
Yeah.
Was that your creation?
Yeah, that is, yes.
He's making Gmo Neogi.
The base stat block for the hatchlings, the new batch was based off of something out of the new Ravenloft book. It's like the Carrion Swarmer or something. It's like a cousin to the Carrion Stalker. They like dead bodies and all that stuff. So yeah, I thought that thing was really cool. I wanted to use it, and then I adapted it to the situation. So that's the type of things from where I get my inspiration. That podcast is the role play chat. I think the villains is their latest episode. I would definitely check it out. It was good. I liked it.
It was good to see the Neogi, but I think, I don't know. For Mia, it changed. I don't know. Like, Mia is changing. Like, every time she sees a Neogi, she's just like, I don't know. She changes a little. Like burning, or not burning, but like not. The villagers are useless. They're filled with eggs. Like, why try to save them? That's, things
She's
like
becoming
that.
kind of absorbed with the Neogi, with defeating the Neogi.
Oh yeah, like, and I think I was, but then you guys just like sort of like, let's say, running into and meeting you guys, without knowing my backstory and just trying to, like, the whole purpose of hanging out with you guys was to try to find more information and like defeat the Kraken. Well, since the Kraken, then we got Samuel.
So we've sort of drug you down as a party to now where people are just collateral damage, and that's okay.
If Neogi are going to take over Aspara and like end civilization as we know it, like, that's how she sort of. If they're that big and bad enough of a threat, like, that's how she's going to treat them right now. I don't know. But yeah, that combat was interesting in general. Like, the two different sort of combats, I guess, right? It was like two different areas.
That's right.
I will say, Leland, I haven't played at many different TTRPG tables, but I've never felt like I don't know. I think you are too hard on yourself when it comes to the supposed unbalanced combat. I've always felt like it would if only a handful of turns, went the wrong way, things could pivot quite quickly.
There have been many combats where I was afraid for my character's life.
Yeah.
There have been quite a few times Shakara's gone down and Gozer's gone down, and I'm on my edge of my seat. What's going to happen now?
Sure. Mm-hmm. I don't think every combat has to be on the edge of death either. I think I looked at it more as a opportunity to go back down into the caves, right? Mm-hmm. It was luring us, and I think, like, I thought about what Shaft would do initially. Was Shaft would probably want to have nothing to do with this, but then I sort of thought in the back of my mind, maybe if he went back down there again, he could find out more information about what happened to his brother or things, to that effect. So I think we just got caught up in the moment and said, let's just go jump down the hole and do it.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that was what, in his mind, was like, let's follow these sons of bitches and try to see what happened.
Yeah, no, that's like I was trying to use this instance of combat more narratively rather than have it just be a combat. And I think a running theme throughout this campaign is that most of the combats are like that. They are very narrative. Because again, we've talked about not injecting random encounters into our campaign, and which ties into the size of the world, yada yada yada, all shit we've talked about before, and don't necessarily need to reiterate again. But yeah, that's how I like to use combat. I mean, just the second part of the combat in the actual bush hole. From the bush hole, all of that was narrative. Like, that was all for narrative
It took us
purposes.
15 minutes to say bush hole.
Yeah.
I'm proud of us.
Shaft will jump in a bush hole whenever it's available,
Right.
I'll tell you that.
Like the
Wade
four
in, so to speak.
just wade into that bush hole. The four of you could easily take on 4 Neogi, especially you have high ground. I know not all of you excel at range, but you definitely utilize that very well. So, like, that secondary fight was even less challenging mechanically than up top with the Umber Hulks and the 2 Neogi, right? But there was again the factor of the catatonic people with the eggs in their chests and all that stuff, right? So it was more, you're right, John, to as a lure to entice into some fact-finding mission, right?
Yeah, which I think is great. That if I was given the choice of the way we play with combat usually being some importance to the plot versus just combat thrown in for the sake of combat so we can get some XP and smash some baddies and maybe get some loot, I would rather the way we do it.
Oh, I have never felt like combat was just randomly thrown in there for the sake of having a fight, you know? Like, never.
Yeah. No, I don't think Leland typically, if ever, really does it.
I mean,
like
I try not to drive combat at all. I try to make the decision for combat to occur solely in your hands. And I mean, look at the amount of times that a fight could have broken out with Isabella. Like half a dozen times that you've spoken to her and had a conversation with her, a tense conversation. I think most of the conversations we've had with Isabella have been pretty tense and have a lot of threatening undertones to, especially what she says. Yeah. Fights could have broken out. Like, I mean, depending on how the second or third interaction with Isabella could have went, like Isabella could have been dead for 100 episodes, right? Like that's how things could have played out.
I think every time I'm with the entire party and Isabella is when I'm most scared.
Yeah. You know what? Seeing her in that great hall together and stuff, like that's scary, right? And Samuel showing up, that was freaking nerve-wracking.
I was very concerned in that scene.
Yeah, for sure.
I was like, this could be where Falsey died.
I will also say that every time you've interacted with Isabella has always been on her terms. So she purposely, and that's again part of the type of villain that she is. She falls more into the mastermind archetype of a villain, I think. She's always putting herself in the most advantageous position because she's not stupid, right? Mm-hmm. She's lived a long time. She's probably done a lot of similar things like this. And maybe a lot of it feels like an old hat to her, is dealing with adventurers like yourselves. So she's always trying to give herself the upper hand, which is, of course, what you as a party want to do. But when it comes to Isabella, it's been difficult to date to do that with her, I think.
Do you think when we left Goldham and tracked down Falsey and caught her in the in her lair that she was planned that? Or do you think... I mean, I guess I'm asking the rest of you because did she realize that we were going to show up? Because... So...
You think maybe she likes an audience?
Oh my gosh! Wow. Okay, so Isabella's gonna be setting up an OnlyFans page.
Because it seemed to me like she was not expecting us in that interaction there.
Maybe not expecting so soon.
If she would have been expecting us, she could have cooked those boys faster. You know, those guys she was trying to animate or whatever. Maybe, I don't know.
Unless she didn't want to kill us.
I don't, like, well, what Shakara always says is that she doesn't want us dead. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, is that true? I don't know.
From Falzarin's perspective, and I was in her presence for longer than you guys were. I don't think I would have said that it was an intentional lure to get everyone there. I didn't get that feeling anyway.
I don't feel she's
could be
threatened
playing
by
with us. I mean, she's been alive for how many hundreds of years? She could just be bored.
It's possible. It's possible that, she played us really well.
Or, I mean, she took a fancy to you, she took you, and then we came along, and she didn't fully expect that, but hey,
interrupted
new
the foreplay.
Yeah. Hey, in lines with what Leland was saying about her mastermind and not having the upper hand, I do think that we walked away from Heraklion with some tidbit of information, which is that she is submissive to Samuel and is scared of him. And that's something to exploit, for sure. Mm-hmm.
Or is she wanting Samuel to think that she is submissive to him?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think she knows she has to be subservient to him at this point in time. But if things work out and her old buddy Dindar might take care of Samuel in the end, I think is what she's probably...
So how powerful is Samuel that Isabella is kowtowing to him.
Well, I think probably very powerful, but for right now, she's using him like she uses us.
Well, yeah. I think what John... Yeah, I can see John's point where maybe she believes she's more powerful than him in the right circumstances, but she wants him to think that he's a tier above her until
So she gets what she
she
wants.
has the right cards in her hand.
Right.
Yeah.
Either
We're doing
way,
the same
what
thing.
either way, what he thinks matters to her, and that's something to think about.
For sure.
Look, everybody's using everybody in Aspara.
Pretty much.
That's what we do.
Yeah, and I do think that the point of whether or not Isabella actually is frightened or concerned for her own life from Samuel, like if she thinks Samuel's a threat or not, is a moot point because, like Elena said, there's still the image that she is putting on, whether or not it's fact-based, it doesn't matter. But yes, like totally true, Elena, like that is an exploitable fact about Isabella that you have really finally uncovered from her. And
That's like the only thing I feel like, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's like a fault of the party either. It's just like the circumstances in which you've had to deal with her, she's never really been the pressing issue, right? There's always other stuff going on and surrounding her. She's just like a piece on the board in a larger game, right?
Because I mean, we start a journey, and of course, the village people would choose that specific day at that time to go out in a boat.
Look, they're out there all the time.
You couldn't make this up.
They've been out there for weeks.
You could make this up. They've been out there for weeks, but not on a boat. You said that was the first day they tried to. Didn't
I don't know if he said it was the first day.
I thought he said they
they'd been
just started
pouring it in,
trying.
but we're starting
pouring
to
it from the shore.
realize that it was only reaching so far.
They did say that they had already circumnavigated the shore and we're now starting to go out into the waters. You're right. So that's recent, absolutely.
So, Leland, when we were all talking about the tracks that we saw when we left Pisces and we were heading towards the lake, and we saw these tracks and we didn't know what they were coming from, how frustrated were you that we didn't realize it was just the wagons from Pisces going to the lake?
I don't know. I think that was one of those times where like I just assumed a bit of knowledge that the four of you would come to, like immediately jump to, which I mean isn't always necessarily fair. Like I shouldn't just be like, I shouldn't make those types of assumptions, right? Because I am just putting out a fact. I'm explaining the surrounding, and there's always a number of conclusions that you could jump to, like, because
Now,
That's why we have history checks.
yes, exactly. Occasionally, Leland says things in a different way to clarify. Like, okay, so you want to call lightning over a boat on the water.
I laughed so hard.
That your friends are also in the water.
And I appreciate that clarification. You know what I'm saying?
Here,
Like,
specifically about that. So I made you roll the intelligence check, right? And you rolled...
which I rolled terrible on
poorly.
every check that whole... Yeah.
But had you rolled higher than a 10, I would have given you a rough amount of additional distance that your lightning would have traveled, which would potentially have allowed you to place the strike in a spot where it wouldn't...
further away.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was why that was what that check was for. Because like you said,
Yeah.
Mia knows the effects electricity is going to have. Like that's her bread and butter. She absolutely knows that. But...
So again, like it's like where Mia as a character wouldn't have really been like, yeah.
Right.
So, that's Elena messing that up. So I'm glad she reworded that. But.
I feel the same way with Falsey a lot too. Like Falzern he is supposed to be very intelligent.
He knows how many dice are in Fireball.
And-
Falzer
Oh, jeez.
and knows the right number of sides.
We're quadruple checking
How?
now with Fireball dice.
Yeah.
I was dying because I even he left it in. Like I said, make sure you have the right amount of dice before.
I was so
all
confident
comes
that I
back.
was so confident that I did it right.
And then your Firebolt has an extra D10 now or
Oh.
something. and you
Oh,
didn't
yeah, I
know,
forgot
and-
about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, wait, I
He's
am
like,
level
wait,
10.
how did Drex do so much damage?
Yeah, Dreg did 24 damage on a D10. Oh my god.
I think he did 16 or something, and you're like, how did you do 16 on a D10? And he's like, well, at level 10, and Bill's like, I totally knew that.
To be fair,
It's easy to miss.
To be
that
fair,
stuff,
all you
right?
cast are
It
Flaming
is.
Sphere and Fireball, so it's very rarely that anything else ever gets
Bread and
cast.
butter. Bread and
Flaming
butter.
I'm going to cast Flaming Sphere. Oh,
It's a good spell. Come on.
It is a good spell.
I know.
Bang those balls against him for
Yeah,
a while,
just-
and it works well.
Smack
Well,
'em.
like, speaking of spellcasting, Leland, you thought that Control Water was perhaps, like, not used correctly, maybe?
I think
you
there was a
said?
few things we didn't do right, because I don't think the trench just closes after one round. Like, it stays open, I think. I don't know. There was little things that we didn't play out properly with the high, because it's a higher level spell with it's got a lot of text on in that spell.
And it was the trench specifically?
Yeah, we made the
or-
trench because I think for anything.
It just says, like, the way it's worded is you cause the water in the area to move apart and create a trench. The trench extends across the spell's area, and the separated water forms a wall on either side. The trench remains until the spell ends, or you choose a different effect.
Right. So how we played it originally was it was starting to close after.
But we
a single
read
round.
yes, so it says right here, the water then slowly fills in the trench over the course of the next round. Well, we missed the sentence prior.
Exactly. Yeah. And I don't think it made much of it didn't really handicap or give an edge to
No.
anything, I don't think. Because
I just wanted a whirlpool so I could do damage.
Yeah,
and there
well,
was
I
never
think
enough
we've
frickin'
messed up.
water to do a freaking whirlpool.
well, we messed up how that works too, I think. Because I think I shorted you damage or whatever, but whatever, it doesn't matter. We all know that Buttercup can swim, a Warhorse can swim just fine. That's bottom
Warhorse
line.
is all-
That's all we care about.
And if she drowned, I would just call her back. So
Yeah, Shakara doesn't really want to get her armor wet. You know, she's kind of heavy, and I don't even care about it, I guess. But then, I mean, maybe with our disadvantage on stealth checks, we could be oiling our armor at some
You
point.
two just
Yeah,
run
really.
into walls and start screaming every time I try to be quiet.
Dude, like, I literally
We were
rolled 2
clinking
critical
and clanking.
fails.
we were clinking and clanking
Man,
everywhere.
I give you a +10 too.
Yeah, so your plus 10 got me to 13 max. That was like,
Loud but flexible.
okay. Okay.
That was a good joke that either nobody heard or we didn't acknowledge it. But
Listen, I credit Leland for hearing things in the edit and leaving it in, because for sure you guys don't hear sometimes when I'm like,
Oh yeah.
that's what my Tinder profile
100,
says.
yes, exactly,
Yeah.
100%. And then I had to
Loud.
boost the
It's
gain
like-
on that one sentence a little bit because he whispered.
That's what she
Yeah,
said.
that was a good one.
Elena, do you want to explain your horse's name?
Oh, frick.
That was so important.
I
to
just
say.
I just in the moment was like, I really want to have a weather stormy sounding horse name, so that, because like Buttercup's cool that I don't know, but then like Leland patronized me and I felt dumb. He's like, okay, is that it? Are we done?
I mean, there were
And there was a
Well,
there was a few times
to be
where I
fair,
asked
it
you
was
if you were all
There was
fucking
a
it was
bleep. Yeah, you bleeped out an F-bomb because you were so
And
annoyed with that.
that was after cutting out like 2 to 3 minutes of the 4 of you bickering before I asked that. So in the final edit, it sounds like I'm being like irrational, or I'm not being
Yeah.
patient at all.
Listen,
It's perfect.
listener,
I love how the edit worked out.
the edit made us sound really good and Leland sounded really pissed.
That is rare.
But he's the one that
That's
edited
rare.
it, so that's his choice. That's his choice.
Well, I was feeling generous after coming back and seeing Emma. I thought I'd throw you all a bone, so.
It was very.
We all get one.
Yeah, you caught me in a weak moment. It was a weak moment. That's never going to happen again.
I mean, it was a little anticlimactic to be like, torrent. And you guys are like, okay.
You know what? It's literally not until you reminded me of what it was that I get the name now. At the time,
Yeah, I
like,
was just
torrent
trying to-
went like
yeah.
right over my head.
No,
I
I'm
don't
not
get it.
talking about
Like
Napster.
exactly, it's like
yeah, I was gonna say I thought that meant downloading
a-
illegal music.
No, it's like a freaking storm.
yeah, like a
downpour.
torrential downpour.
Oh, a torrential downpour.
Ah,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
Freaking idiots.
I didn't get it until just now either.
What am I doing?
Now, please,
Hanging out
now,
with
Emily,
lowlifes like you.
Emily, could you please explain the long-winded reasoning behind Buttercup, if you would?
It's my favorite movie.
Princess Bride, right?
Pride.
Yeah.
Buttercup is a movie?
No, Princess Bride.
Princess Bride.
I mean, whatever. Long-winded. Speaking of long-winded, Falzarin, do you have any?
Hey.
I just enjoy listening it back when he like repeats the same thing but in a longer way, and you're just like, okay.
Well, I want to...
That's Falzarin.
It is
wanna-
who he is.
Listeners, if you'd like to know why that happens, oftentimes it happens because... And it happens a lot in combat. Because I'm struggling to pay attention to what's being said when it's not my turn, while I'm also reading my spells to try and decide what I'm going to do. So I often sort of like mishear things or only half hear stuff. So a lot of the time I repeat what I think has happened to make sure I got it right. Basically.
So what you can do is with your next character listener, just play them as a pretentious know-it-all that needs to repeat everything in a smarter sounding way. And
I don't think it sounds smarter most times.
It does to Falzarin.
okay.
It's
You
dumbed
do use
down.
big words. You do use big words.
Okay.
Down.
No, it was pretty good. There are so many, like, listen, Falzarin goes off the rails and starts eating poison and stuff. So, I mean, this, like, there's no guessing what's going to happen.
Okay, well, let's
Testing.
do a look. So
testing.
you move into the bush hole and you finally see the beginnings of the new batch.
Well, wait. I got off of my high horse, got down on
Yeah,
one
that's
knee.
true. That's true. You got him aside. Yeah, you're no longer
And
better than
Elena
us.
learned about the help action.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that
Oh
was
yeah.
That was really fun. I didn't realize.
And blamed us for
Such
her
thing
not
existed.
reviewing the player's handbook
Yeah.
2
Classic.
years ago.
That's right.
I have not read it cover to
Well,
cover. Let's be
The,
honest.
the four of
There's
us get together
a
and
single
review the player's
chapter
handbook.
about
We
the
just don't
actions
tell you
we
about
did.
it.
I mean, you don't have to read it cover to cover. There's a lot of stuff in there.
All right,
But
well,
a single chapter, I
I'm-
don't think is too much to ask.
I got some reading to do tomorrow. Okay, kids.
No, like you said, why would you ever take the help action? Help action is for familiars, and that's it. Any player that does a help action is doing a terrible job in combat.
Stand by my opinion.
I mean, sometimes when you are not a ranged person and there's nothing you can
True.
do, because as far as you can run still doesn't get you to the person.
So it could be
To
a
the
fallback.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Shakara can touch herself. That was mentioned at least once.
Yeah.
That's a pretty sweet thing to do, though, to just have your familiar give you
Touch myself?
advantage. I mean,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Your familiar
That's
That's
touch
why
you.
the find familiar spell is really, really pretty powerful.
Sparky and I are really close.
Yeah.
Shakara knows how to
Wow.
find.
It's a good thing
familiars,
Shakara's the Dragonborn,
huh?
because otherwise that would be a little risque. But you're pretty much the same race. You're pretty much the same type of animal.
Are you a racist there?
No, I'm
Both-
just saying
Horny
Dragonborns
dragon.
and pseudo dragons are close enough for it not to be bestiality. That's all I'm saying.
They're both scaly.
A
Exactly.
horny
with that.
dragon looking for your bard. Bards are us.
Hulsa pulled out the big guns, too.
All right.
What did she
Hulsa
cast
showed
again?
off her skills. She banished.
Oh, right.
Apparently, you don't need to
Yeah.
talk to banish. Is there a verbal component?
Well, she has
She has her own way of casting.
derived alternative means.
You know what I thought about that's advantageous for that? Strictly because it suits narrative purposes with her not
she speaks in tongues.
speaking, is she should technically be able to cast in a silence spell then. That's like
Oh, right.
It's like a-
yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Magical silence.
Yeah.
right.
Oh, that is
That is very
Yeah, I
interesting.
was just thinking about that the other day.
Why were you thinking about that the other day?
Yeah, why are we thinking about that?
'Cause I was thinking
Please
about
stop
ways.
thinking about that.
Well, I have a little notepad that I carry around with me all the time. The title
Ways
is
to kill
"How to Fuck
Falzarin.
Over Bill with things other than counterspell. Because I've already crossed
Physical
counterspell out
notepad?
at the top of it. So now I have to add things to the...
I mean, you can always counterspell again, though, so, you know.
You're right, but those Neogi only have 2 spell slots. So they can't do that much.
I mean, you're giving away your hand now.
Oh shit! Let me write that down.
Yeah, Neogi 2 spell slots. Yeah, check.
I did not see a Neogi casting counterspell against Falzer, and that caught me off guard.
I didn't see Neogi casting anything.
Yeah.
No,
That
yeah,
caught me off
I
guard.
should have known they. I mean, I think in character you would know they can cast spells because Mia would have told them. Like, would have told you.
Oh, yeah,
But
probably.
how does Mia know
Did
they
Mia
can cast
know?
spells?
Mia knows they can cast spells. They were
Yeah.
casting spells when I fought them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, like, I think that information would have been shared. We're really, like, sharing all of it.
Probably.
but I mean,
Yeah. I
things
mean,
get lost in translation,
I don't think
sorta.
the fact that they can, have some type of magical abilities would have changed the way that combat rolled out. I mean, you're still going to
No.
move in and
No.
engage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
I'm still
think
going to
so, yeah.
cast spells at them.
Yeah, Falzern's still going to fireball.
Yeah.
Really,
I mean,
if we
falls for
all
fireballs, that's what he does.
just use the circlet of the wise, we're protected for a minute.
Yeah.
Number one, and then this, then they're not really. The biggest thing is of them taking over one of us. So one of the 3 of us is
Yeah.
attacking the others, right?
Right.
The Neogi themselves are not really that much of a threat once they can't mind control us.
Yep. I mean, that's why they have things like the Umber Hulks, right? Something that is a
Right.
threat that's
It's
enthralled
like
by
their
them.
controlled muscle.
Yeah, right. That's
Yeah.
why.
But Bill can just put them in a
that
box.
was, yeah,
right, Bill?
that was a good wall of force for sure.
Sphere.
It's
It's a sphere,
It's a sphere,
but-
actually,
A
John.
sphere.
Bill's getting really.
Sorry.
I mean, Falzern's getting really tired and stingy with his spell slots. So
But think about that. That's why hold monster, hold person, those kind of things are very valuable in combat. If you can hold somebody, just for a little while, it frees you up to kill the other stuff.
Yeah.
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 And that's a great tactical move.
Fights like this one are why I'm so happy Mia has all her spells prepared all the time. Like, as a cleric, because can you imagine being like, I have the right spell for this situation, but it's not prepared? Or that kind
Well,
of thing, right?
you could still fall in that situation. You don't have access to. You have access to your whole
yeah.
list, but you are still limited
Oh,
by
right,
the amount
right,
you
right.
can prepare and cast for the day.
Sorry, known. Yeah.
Known
Okay,
versus
that's true,
prepared
that's
is
true.
different.
Yeah. I guess for some reason, there's always been like weather or water that can help me, which is nice.
Yeah, well, we've kind of been
Well,
a
we're on a small island.
fairly aquatic-based campaign so far.
The mountains, yeah, the mountains in Drukal, I might need to change spells around, I guess.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Unless there's a nice
Is there
big river running through.
sewers? Yeah.
All right, what did you all think of the return to the Kralakina cult caverns?
I thought it was cool. I thought it was very cool how we came in through the roof. Like, that was wild.
Through the bush hole, you mean?
Yes, the bush hole.
To the bush
Right.
hole.
Yes.
I wasn't fond of the things burrowing into my skin. It reminded me of turning into a whatever in the hell werewolf. What was it? What was I
Werewolf.
turning into with the
Were-
cursed sword?
Oh,
It
yeah,
was,
wolf.
A furry, I
That's
think.
right.
Direwolf.
Oh yeah.
But again, Shaft complains and Falzern's like, I've seen worse. It's fine. Like,
Yeah, that was scary. I
I
was,
was
like,
a
I
little
feel you,
worried
bro.
I
there
was worried.
because we got to peel some of them out, but we did learn that was it cure poison? What was the spell you used that killed them off? Inside
I laid
of
on
them?
hands. If I use 5 points from my lay on hands pool, it cures diseases
Cure
and
disease.
poisons and things.
So, yeah. So it's good to know.
I think it's actually just poisons, or is it both? Whatever. Regardless, whatever it worked, and it was definitely good thinking. If you had not thought to do it immediately, I would have made you make a check or something to figure out that, because Shakara, especially, and that's also part of the description of, the greenish kind of gross looking veins from the burrow sites on Shaft's body on that stuff.
So kill that crap from a distance, really, is what we've learned.
Exactly.
Don't get up
Yes.
close
Yeah.
to them.
Right.
Yes.
Right. And again, though, those were just little hatchlings. Like,
Right.
do they get
Yeah, what
bigger?
are they gonna
Well,
do
yeah,
when
what's
they're
the life
full
cycle
grown?
of them? Because the Neogi get to like a medium-sized creature at their largest.
And what's their power level going to be like when they get bigger? Leland, you said something. You said
That doesn't sound like
about
me.
Shaft's web toes.
Right?
You said, you know what they say about a web toe. 2 toes on land versus 1 toe in a boot.
Yeah.
Yeah, what the heck is that?
It was just made up, dude. It was
What?
awesome.
It's an
though.
old adage. It's
not.
Sure it
akin
is.
to a bird in the hands worth 2 in the bush or whatever.
2 in the bush, yeah.
I see. Okay. Yeah, I still don't get it, but okay.
2 web toes on a foot. It's better than 1 in a boot.
There you go. Two
Or whatever.
two webs on the land is worth 1 on the boot. So
Yeah. I don't know, that was pretty freaking funny. Oh, I love how Shaft does
I think
web
it was
toes.
great to go. Well, yeah. Well, I love this kind of thing. So, like when you play in D&D and you get hit and you cause a scar on somebody's face, right? And then from that point on, you what happened? 20 episodes later, what happened to your face? So that kind of thing is great to have those little. Now nobody's gonna see my feet, so it doesn't matter. So
And then we stood on the, a few of you stood on the edge of the cliff, very hesitant to jump into the water, and Leland's like, it's not a big deal, just
I was
move it along.
Yeah, I was just trying to give you a little push.
I was happy to go back through the passages we didn't go to before.
Yeah.
Would have been very lucrative for us to go there
Yeah, 80
long
episodes
ago.
yeah.
Yeah.
really.
I honestly think finding those items in Erica's lair down there was like, that's what was hard for me to answer your question, Leland, about being back in those caves, because like Mia's never been in the caves, but as a player, it was just like, I just would have survived. Maybe we could have explored. Maybe we think of how different the whole story would be if Bryn was alive. We discovered the cloaks, Danzig was going in the barrel, whatever, right? Like, it just, everything changes on a dice roll, really.
So
in, this game.
in
It's
that
crazy.
underground lake chamber, there are 3 exits other than going through the water. You could have chosen any one of the other 2 to go down first, because you went down the first one you went down resulted in the fight with Brendel. As you went down the one that was, to the furthest south, that's the one that led to the items. So yeah, things could have went a lot differently.
Yeah. And there was the one passage that went on for an impossibly long period of time, which meant to me, like, you just don't get down that passage.
Yeah.
Well, so I mean, what I was trying to make clear is because every way you found a passage that was unlit, right?
Yes.
All the directions you searched, there was passages. So those passages are just long sections of the tunnels that will eventually lead somewhere above ground, right? So they do potentially could stretch on for miles and miles and miles, which is difficult to when you want to stay in a particular area and you're just trying to probe out. It's difficult to figure out just how long are you gonna be walking for.
I think the important thing that we learned there is we believe at least that it goes to Pisces, right?
Right. Yeah, in the one area, that's right.
So at least we in our minds believe that there is a potential problem there.
Right. You found the
It's definitely growing.
You found the passage that potentially was leading to Pisces, and then the other one was also leading down south towards Port Randus and the dam and stuff.
And they've got those Umber Hulks to sort of carve those caves for them too, right?
Probably, yeah.
Whatever. Burrow them. I don't know.
We didn't see Umberhawks the first time we were there.
Well, the one burrowed
But they can burrow and make
pretty
their tunnels,
easily, right? Before we broke the mind control on it.
right? I don't know. I just the Neogi aren't gonna dig very fast with those little weird arms and stuff, right? So it's I'm not scared of that. Knowing they have 2 spell slots a day, how fast can they make tunnels? Well, with Umber Hulks under their control, pretty freaking fast. So I don't know.
So, Snowbloom.
Yeah, the purple flower.
Yeah.
So the cult of Kralakina is gone, but the after effects of them linger. Clearly, just in the black ooze, the water is still being utilized by forces that ideally wouldn't be utilizing them. I mean, the Neogi has found this abandoned cave because of your efforts now, right? And they discovered the potentials of the black slime.
Yay.
Yay, indeed.
Intelligent spider eels.
Before we talk about Falzarin eating things that he shouldn't, I would like to ask, why did Falzarin choose to singe the eggs on a living village person versus a dead village person that he couldn't hurt?
He's probably trying to save the living person.
We talked about
just
it.
to see what would happen. I mean, why not go for a dead person instead of a
because he wanted to see if the people that were still alive could be saved. If you dealt with the eggs, you know, if they could potentially survive once you dealt with the eggs, and also dealt with whatever was controlling their minds.
And I'm still thinking that maybe you test your control over your sphere with a dead person.
Oh, he's played with his ball plenty. He's got a good handle of it.
I definitely saw it as like, well, why test it on a dead person when I could save this person's life right now, or like try.
Yeah, I think that's.
Let's say I didn't try.
He was thinking. Yeah.
I don't know.
I think that the flaming sphere just happened to be there, and it was something that would probably work to do the job, so that's what he used.
If you got to perform an appendectomy and all you have is a chainsaw, well, what are you going to do?
Exactly.
Not perform the appendectomy.
Just make sure you have lots of sutures.
You said amputation, right? Amputation?
Use the tools at hand.
Well, if I cut this person in half, the eggs will be the least of their problems.
Yeah, there's probably more safe and precise ways to deal with the eggs.
mean, honestly, at the point, like, Mia was already writing off these people. Like, she was like, they're fucked. Let's get out of here. Let's kill the egg. Fuck them.
And Elena says, who would have thought we'd be the murderers?
Listen, we go down to save them. Mia sees what the frick is going on, and like, that's what I mean by Mia is changing every time she sees these Neogi or learns something new. Is like freaking, like, the blinders are on for Mia, and I kind of like playing a character that's like spiraling in a weird way, you know?
Right.
Oh, I totally know what you mean.
Oh yeah, yeah. How's your hip? How's your hip over there, Ag?
Don't throw me in the water, apparently.
Did we go down to save them? I know Shaft didn't go down to save them.
I went down to try to save him. Yeah.
Did you? Shakara?
You went down to try and save them?
What did you think we were going down for?
Originally, I thought we were going down to save them, and then you went all, let's kill them all.
Well, like, because I'm going to save them, look at them, they're hopeless. Like, that's what I'm saying. Shaft is saying from the very beginning he didn't plan to save them?
No, I was going down there to get information on what was going on. I mean, if we saved them, then great.
If there were no village people, Mia wasn't going to go down there.
Yeah, that's just a difference.
Unless you were to say, there's sexy Neogi down there, and then, like, Mia would be like...
That's just the difference between
Shaft
and Mia's motivations. That's
right. I mean, I think Shaft is more than willing to help save somebody if it's not an undue risk. And I think he was going down to assess the situation and find out some more information. But if it was hopeless, there's no reason to...
We didn't know it was hopeless, though. We went down.
Right.
I pretty much quickly made an assessment like, this is hopeless, and then...
Yeah.
Okay,
no, that makes sense.
I think you're right.
Yeah. I mean, I think down here you got a lot of information. And before we get into that, though, we did kind of gloss over bringing up the old hip. And your characters haven't really had the time to, in these episodes, to process
We haven't talked about it.
But, like, Shakara used an ability and then was, like, changing and aging before Mia's eyes, at least.
She used a coven perk or whatever. She's got like a club card and was like cashing that in.
Got a discount.
Yeah. No big deal. Don't you worry about
Members
it. Nothing's
only.
happening. It's all good. Don't worry about it.
But when she said it, it was like, don't worry about it. I'll trim my nails later.
Ignore the cackle. Yeah, that's just something that happens.
Okay, I mean, what did you think in the time, Emily, that when I was describing that?
I was a little surprised, but we had talked about things, so it makes sense.
Oh, you didn't know what would happen?
No, I didn't know what would happen. And we had only recently talked about things recently. We'd only talked about things recently. And if I had used that spell earlier and that had happened, I would have been more surprised. I was surprised, but I would have been more surprised about a
Emily,
month
drink
ago.
some more whiskey and then make some more sense here.
Yeah, is anything I'm saying coming through here?
I certainly don't think Shaft is surprised by anything that's going on.
At this
I
point,
do
we've
think-
fucking seen it all.
I mean,
Yeah.
I do you think that Mia and Falzarin are surprised at this type of thing? I mean, it's not like we don't know.
Yeah. No,
Right?
I think Mia was in her mind would have been like, "Ha, figures," but then said something, right? Like, of course. Like,
Right.
Once again, we're all using each other, right?
soul or soul. Yeah.
She's currently, as far as we're concerned, on our side. We have the same motivation.
Right, but I mean, as far as you all know, I am part of the coven, but I'm not.
Under duress.
I'm still trying to do good with the power that has been given to me.
Yeah.
I mean, Shakara is still trying to, for lack of a different way of putting it, save Aspara. She's still trying to use the power in a way that benefits all.
right.
It's Anakin Skywalker using the dark
Yeah.
power
Gandalf
to be
slipping
good,
on
right?
the ring.
Exactly. That's
Okay.
exactly right.
Okay.
So you may have that feeling.
Right.
but
So, okay.
We know
but
better.
In these episodes, Shakara was fairly strongly on the opinion of, "Fuck this, let's get to Drakal. We're on a deadline," despite people
Yes.
in need directly in front of you. Does that say anything to the other characters? Because Mia, I mean, was kind of did the same thing.
Shakara's changing just like Mia's changing. Blinders on. She's like, we gotta get this armor. We gotta get this armor. We gotta get this armor.
Yeah.
Because we know what Isabella can do, what she did to Falsey. Think of what's dangling over her, like, you gotta get this done. I don't know, like...
Well, and then Samuel. I mean, we saw what Samuel's done, what lengths he will go to in order to procure this armor that we are supposed to be going to helping him get. If we don't get this amulet for him, what's he going to do to us?
I think Shaft is looking at it like information gathering, as a bounty hunter, as that kind of thing. Find out what you're dealing with on all levels so you make the right strategic choices. And we're not under the timeline that's not that pressuring right now.
Right.
Right now, that's the problem. All of a sudden, we're going to be spending 4 days in Drukal and we won't have the amulet yet. And all of a sudden, I'll be like, okay, well, now we wish we had that day and a half back.
But think about how each character might have information that may not. Maybe he's not too worried about finding the amulet.
See, then
true.
Shakara doesn't know that. Shakara's never been to Drukal. She doesn't
Right, I'm just
know
saying,
how
it's-
hard this amulet's going to be to find, and Shaft's not forthcoming with that information.
Right. I'm just saying how you read people, right? If somebody's very desperate to do something and somebody else is like, don't worry about it too much, you question why that person is maybe not worried about it too much.
Or you question why that person is so adamant about getting it done ASAP. Because it can work both ways.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
You don't know, like, if Shakara gets a bonus coven perk for getting
Exactly.
the armor found
There's
early.
a signing bonus.
Brownie
yeah.
points.
Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, technically, that signing bonus should go to Falzarin, if there is one, really.
No, that's true.
Robbed again.
Okay, I want to ask
at
each
least
of you.
I studied an amulet similar, so hopefully we'll
There
find
you go.
it.
I want to ask each of you specifically, what can you tell me about the hatch cycle of the new batch of Neogi?
You're just seeing how much information we actually gleaned
Yes,
from what
of
you
course.
showed us,
Yes.
and we know nothing.
What do you mean What do you mean by the hatch cycle?
It was super quick.
Oh, yeah.
Because the
The
village people went down without any eggs on them, and they got eggs. In the amount of time it took us to argue about going down the bush hole and take on the last Umber
Finish
Hawk,
the fight.
they were egged, and then the eggs were starting to hatch.
Well, so this
No, those
this
were the
is,
other
yeah,
eggs.
this is why this is what the reason behind I'm asking you, because again, it was a lot of it was combat, so it's easy to like Bill said, focus on what your character is going to do in that moment. So when you went down there, The four village people were still alive. They were still people, right? Catatonic, but implanted. And yes, the implanting was very, very quick. When you inspected the eggs, you saw that there was like this larval form that was clearly different than what a Neogi looks like. Dealt with those eggs, and you were up close. Mia was up close with those eggs. They did not burst from right. You went and you found a room full of drowned implanted. The larvae clearly looked advanced. It was clear that the eggs themselves had absorbed or taken on a characteristic similar to the black slime. And when approached, the drowned, they burst. They hatched, basically, right? So both those bits of information give you an insight into, potentially an insight into how or what this process exactly is. Because remember, it does involve the black slime.
So again, I think it happens quicker, but maybe those drowned were village people alive. So at a certain point, the catatonic people die, and when they die, they're resurrected in the black slime, and then, like, maybe they feed or hatch their end cycle on the dead human. Is that what you're trying to say?
That's exactly what I'm trying to say. That's what those two bits of information would point you towards. Absolutely.
It adds up that, like, they were once living, they died, they become drowned, so now their hatchlings have characteristics of the drowned as well.
Right. And before you ambushed the Neogi, you heard one of them complain to the Chul that had dragged the people from the water, had drowned on the trip down, and reanimated into drown. The Neogi said, "These are useless. You fucked up, basically. These guys are now useless. Get them out of here."
Right, because implanting a drowned, like, they need to be implanted before they're dead.
Right, exactly. That's exactly right, yeah.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if this was just supposed to be significant or not as far as on the topic of the life cycle, but when those eggs burst and launched themselves at Shaft and then tried to burrow into Shaft, is that another chapter in their life cycle of maturing, or was that
were they just trying to eat him?
It's a good question.
Because the hatchlings ate the Neogi they were implanted on.
That's true, yeah.
So maybe he was just sustenance
for them to grow.
Yeah.
Good question. Good question, Bill. If we were still giving inspiration, that might have got you a point.
Well, I'm trying to remember from the wagons, like, there were all these sort of egg shells. What did they feed on? I feel like I knew
What were the eggs down in the old cave that you burned with a fireball? Were they feeding off of bodies?
All of you know and have seen this little bit of life cycle of a normal Neogi. So the eggs are just laid. They're not implanted in any way, but they're laid upon an aged Neogi. And that aged Neogi is injected and bitten with a number of poisons that are naturally occurring in a Neogi. So that old guy bloats up, gets all swollen, and becomes this bloated mass of being for the eggs to hatch on, and the larvae consume. And potentially consume each other. And basically the strongest of this batch are the ones that would go on to continue to grow and start to enslave their own creatures, that kind of stuff. Many of you've seen that. I mean, Falzarin and Shaft have seen that process actually occur. Like, you've seen them hatch and start to eat the bloated Neogi. Shakara and Mia have certainly come across their fair share of hatchling sites and eggs in the wagons.
I would assume Shaft was food. I don't know that the hatchlings can implant. Like, there's got to be, like, a queen or, like, a mature person creating these eggs.
That would be my gut thinking as well.
Yeah.
That's my thought.
Yeah.
But
we haven't seen anything like that yet, though.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, these are
Maybe
a new
I
breed.
have. I can't remember. I don't know. Yeah.
Should we talk about the stuff we found
Yeah.
in the chests? Specifically the broom?
We hit the jackpot.
Yeah. Well, you did.
Denny, the Danish broom.
That's right, Denny. We did have our first instance of some of the newer Patreon tiers that we tweaked in April. specifically because of the level from our Pledger Brit, she was able to, one, make a magical item and basically name an NPC. And I suggested to her, and she agreed that they could be the same thing because she wanted to give Falsey a Danish broom of flying. And of course, the term Danish is a running joke from our Discord, which of course, if you're not part of, please join.
Click like.
Yeah,
and
basically, yeah. So yeah, I mean, it was really cool to be able to put a fan made item into the game. It was great.
People might say Danish, but it's Danish.
Danish, exactly, not Danish.
Because they're from
Danish.
Denmark. Right, exactly.
I think Danny's going to be
Danish.
a bit of a handful.
He seems fun.
He's gonna have a broom that has a personality, a staff that talks to him because it's Alamar. What else does he have?
Oh man, he's got a bag of holding. Are their bodies still in there?
I used to have a scablet in my chest, but that's gone.
Where's Danzig? Is Danzig still in your bag?
We moved him over to
He's
Shaft's
hanging
bag.
out somewhere.
We moved him over to Shaft's bag or something.
He's around.
He's
that
cuddling
fishy
with
smell?
Almar.
Yeah, I was very, very impressed and excited when I found Denny. That is a very cool magic item.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. And Denny is, I did just describe the wood of his handle, its handle, I guess, being a lightly colored wood. It is made of European birch. I believe, if my research is correct, that is the national tree of Denmark.
Very nice.
Oh, sharp. I mean, hopefully not sharp for you to sit on.
Yeah, splinter in your butt.
It's well varnished. should
Yes.
be splinter free,
Splinter free.
unless you piss them off.
What else did we find? We found the eye patch, right? That was what I remember.
Eye patch, 2 daggers,
Blanket.
white linen blanket, and a dark mask that we were all afraid to touch, but it ended up being something pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. But the white blanket's cool too.
Who took the dark?
I don't think we
Patch.
divided them. Like we just sort of.
Yeah, I'm not sure that
Okay.
we really assigned many, if any of them.
I know we talked through the daggers, and I believe we had a conversation because I think one of the daggers gave you advantage on spellcasting ability or something.
The one gives a +3 to spell attacks and stuff, and is the one that has the charges you can expend to cast a list of spells. That's a pretty sweet one.
Yeah, so I think Falzner was going to take
Somebody's
the
going to
daggers.
use it.
Yeah, the problem we got now is just the amount of slots for we have.
It's
for,
attunement.
tuning,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And there's too many.
You don't need
things.
the headbands. You don't need
The
them.
circlets.
You don't
Yeah.
need the circlets.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
fine. There's no
Yeah.
problem.
I knew
Yeah,
you'd
that's
say
right.
that.
There's no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah,
at this
I don't know
point-
about that.
You're just going to Drakal. I mean, there's no Nyogi in Drakal. You don't need them until you go into the mountains.
Yeah.
You can reattune to them.
Oh, damn it. Drakal is infested with Neogi.
Yeah,
I
you can
didn't-
put
I
your
didn't
blanket
say that.
down. They can fall onto the spikes
Well,
and stuff.
You all should definitely have a conversation of who is going to be carrying or how they're going to be divvied
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
I mean, Shakara, I don't know if Emily it's gone under the radar or whatever. But like Shakara is still attuned to the Death Tyrant sword that's in Falvey's bag. I don't know if Shakara wants to pull that out and start using that now that you're away from Samuel. You have a lot of choices.
I was thinking
You're
about
right.
it.
You have
She
a lot of
raises an
choices
eyebrow.
as far as magical items go.
I think like the white blanket thing reminds me of like the cloak of invisibility sort of thing, right? Like a Harry Potterish sort of, or like a sort of a tiny hut, portable tiny hut.
Was it a cloak? Or did
It's
we
not a
pull it
cloak.
out?
It's a blanket.
blanket.
It's a blanket.
I will
okay.
wrap myself in it like a cloak, so I have a floating head.
It's like an 8 foot by 8 foot blanket or something. You know, what we forgot in the episodes was Mullen is missing an eye. He could take the eye patch.
perfect.
There you go.
Huh? Yeah.
Did you do an identify on that eye patch? I can't.
Yeah,
recall.
it gives you dark vision up to
And
30 feet. And then
dark
it
vision,
enhances
okay.
your
And
dark
then
vision
the
if
eye
you already
moves.
have it. And the eye will move if you wear it long enough, yeah.
I really think Grimby should wear it and just be like, I'm not a pirate. It's his new catchphrase. No? Okay.
Anything else to say? Because we do have 2 questions.
Well, I mean, that specific room, though, you found the items in also gave you some information as to... I mean, I guess it's old information, but I don't know if it's going to end up being useful
Confirming
at all.
suspicions.
But yeah.
I mean, the snow bloom information?
Sure, and
That the portal
Yeah.
probably went to
The key for the
somewhere in
dam,
mountains.
though,
Right, yeah.
the key for the dam.
which we gave to the village people. I think Felipe is going to take care of that for us or something, or
That's right.
whatever his name is. I don't know if, like, at least we're leaving it up to them. I don't know if releasing the water is going to help. I don't know.
It's not good now, but eventually it will be,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the questions sort of is going to lead to
Oh, okay. We'll get to questions.
what I was going to...
Right. Yeah.
Oh, that's me. Questions.
We also had a disturbing amount of comments in Discord about my ability to count dice.
I mean,
We asked for questions, and everyone seemed to be preoccupied with whether or not I can correctly cast Fireball.
There's a lot of,
'Cause you
like, preface.
can't.
Every time you try to gather your dice, we preface it with, like, make sure.
Yes.
Didn't you have a piece of paper that you had all the dice drawn out on it? You used to line your dice up
That
on?
used to be so that I knew I knew how many sides were on each die.
So clearly that piece of paper went out like session 3 then.
You need a fireball
You
piece
need
of
your
paper and just
own
put a
set of
d6
fireball
on
dice,
each
yeah.
d6.
Brit
You could just
suggested
read
that
the
I
text of the spell.
Or
No, that's
that.
too hard.
Yeah.
No.
That doesn't work.
And-
That doesn't
and
work.
you
every
don't
time.
do that.
God forbid you ever try to upcast it. Because
Oh, right.
you'll cast it at a level 5 and level 5 or whatever, and you'll be adding 8 d6, still shorting yourself dice.
Brit suggested I get just a set exclusively for Fireball.
Yep.
Probably not a bad idea.
You can buy
Okay
little
with
sets
that.
of
Yeah.
six-sided die, right? Those Chessex dice, just 6-sided, and then make them red so they're fire.
Yeah. I could get a 4 set of those, and I'd be good to
But-
go.
That's all you
Fulton's
need is
gonna-
just four of those red dice, and you'll be fine.
Aw, if Falzer never dies, I mean, what are you gonna...
Well, then you just throw the dice away.
I'll use them for my next character,
Useless!
which is a
Another
Evocation
wizard.
Go with what you know.
anyway. Sorry for the brief tangent.
We have 2 questions from Erug in our Discord.
Erug. Erug.
Is
E-Rug. I like E-Rug.
Yeah.
John jealous of the other party members having special powers, i.e. membership in the coven, being demigod, and swimming really fast?
I love the tiers. Those are the tiers of special ability.
Demigod swimming really fast. But don't forget he can hold his breath for a long
Hold
time.
his breath. Yeah, don't forget.
Wow,
don't forget
that's-
about that.
Definitely not
That
jealous
one's a
of
tier
Falford.
below. That was,
Yeah, okay.
Not worthy of mentioning.
No. No, the short answer is no. There's no jealousy there. I think each character having their own special abilities is cool, and I don't think that's something that fits with Shaft's character anyway, right? I don't think he's I don't think he's a superhero. He's sort of the
Are
I don't
any
know.
of us superheroes?
Oh yeah,
well,
Mia's
I'm
a
saying you have
superhero, girl.
if you want to say superpowers, or you have extra. Mia can do some hellacious damage, and so can Shakara, and so can Shaft in the right circumstances. But it's not special godlike powers. It's not something that's given to him from the Coven. It's not anything like that. I don't think there's any. There's definitely no jealousy. I think it's. I don't like. I think his character is more. Not. I don't think he's jealous of any of that. No. The
yeah,
short
but
answer.
specifically the question is not if Shaft is jealous, it's if John is jealous. Do you feel like
Oh.
Has Shaft gotten the shaft?
Oh.
Do you wish Shaft was taller? Do you wish his
No.
Do you wish
Shorter,
his toes
really.
were unwebbed?
No, I like
He
it. I'm
wishes
going to
third
use
leg
it.
wasn't such a problem.
You're gonna use your web toes. You say?
Well, I mean, John, do you
problem.
feel like Shaft has yet to be highlighted? I think it's another related question from my view, anyways. Because again, that's something that I want to keep in mind. And I know John and I both know, like, spoilers, like, when we get to Drakal, like, this is where Shaft's going to shine, right? And when we get into the Borgrag Mountains, like, that's Shaft's specialty as a ranger, right? So upcoming, assuming Shaft makes it that far in the story, like, Shaft is soon to be highlighted. And that's just the way I look at it is that is just the way that the narrative has played out. Because again, we could have been doing a lot of stuff in Drakal way earlier, potentially, right? And it would have been...
And we're headed to the mountains.
Right.
I mean,
to me, though, like, it would have been... The problem with it is, it would have been really... I would have been disappointed. Like, if Shaft could easily have died instead of Bryn in the cultist cave in episode like 51 or whatever at the end of chapter 1.
But he's so short, Shakara's swing would have gone
Would have missed,
over his
would have went
head.
clean over his head.
Yeah.
So I would have felt very disappointed had we not gotten to a point where Shaft got a bit of the spotlight.
Okay, so So the question is directly to John. Is John disappointed?
Well,
Yeah.
Is that what
is
it's
John
saying?
somewhat
Is John
jealous
jealous?
of these other special... Because I think these other special powers have been tied to a highlight for those characters.
So, I mean, I've DM'd fair share, and everybody around the table, as you DM, you try to give everybody their moment, right? Especially in a game, you don't want anybody to be bored and I think the thing I love about our podcast is the story, and I think our story sort of aligns with different characters at different times from where we are in that story, and I think we had a lot of Heraklion was very Falzarin type based, and I think. We had, with Shakara, we have the Coven type of thing. And then Mia's got her own storyline with the Neogi, which I know is going to play out even more. And I think with the way Shaft's character is, he's not very forthcoming with, anything. And I think a lot of the things that are going to play out for him are going to be sort of behind the scenes type of things, which is what I think we talked about when we did the little Shaft backstories earlier on, back in episodes, 40 or whatever. Mm-hmm. I think I sort of like the fact that his character is coming out in pieces rather than in a big plot line, right?
It fits the character for sure, right? He's like private, secretive.
I always really wanted the audience listening to the show to always feel like they didn't know where he was. Mm-hmm. And then little pieces of information would come out from time to time that would, allow the audience to go, I either really like or really hate this guy. And it's been tough to play that type of character, but I've enjoyed it a lot. And, I like sort of being in the background from time to time, right? And just being that support character. So, no, I don't feel slighted in the least.
I like that. I like that we have a portion of our party that has some mystery, and also it's kind of cool that the audience knows a lot more about Shaft than the rest of us do. That's another interesting... I don't know. Were we allowed... I haven't listened to Shaft's solo episodes. I don't know.
I mean, I haven't either.
I don't think we were...
No.
I think there was maybe one that you all were fine to listen to, but yeah, most of them were not for listeners' ears only.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just trying
That's
to
an
find where I
interesting
had
layer.
them written down so I could give anybody that wanted a reminder of.
There's the
which
chick on the
episodes they're in.
side, then the sick town Victor, and then there's like the brother mountain stuff.
Yeah, as I say, there's a lot of I think Shaft's character's backstory is sort of interweaved with everybody else's, as it's sort of, but not necessarily highlighted in a series of things, but interweaving throughout the whole thing, which I'm very happy with, really.
I mean, if you end up having a Kraken as a father, I mean, we could bond over that. I don't know. You never know.
Well, God forbid I recycle the storyline. I mean, Which I feel like
He is
kind of is
he is
happening
too short. You're right.
with Shakara now being involved with Isabella. Like Isabella's switched her involvement with the party from Falsey to Shakara. And I that's not to say that what is happening is the same. Obviously, the similarities, were meant to bring Shakara and Falzarin back together after they kind of had the split, right? I think to toot my own horn here, I was pretty successful in the divide and then the coming back together. I was very happy with how that played out in like the 70s when we had Keck around, right? Obviously, she was the splinter, the wedge that came between.
Wedge.
Thank you.
Yes.
The hole in the wall. The hole in the wall that came in between.
The plug.
Right.
Oh, okay, inside joke.
Despite Falzarin's best efforts when that relationship was being repaired. To make stupid decisions.
We've had a comment. I think Hornus had commented when he was going through those episodes, particularly like he really liked the role play between Shaft and Falzarin. I distinctly remember him commenting on that at the time he was listening. And I mean, I couldn't agree more. I think all four of you are excellent role players, and obviously that is what we like in our show. So it's good that we're good at it. I mean, it's a good thing.
I like that it flows into our Discord with other things too. It doesn't seem to matter what we're talking about. We yes and each other,
Right.
Yeah.
and play off whatever it is. I really enjoy that.
Yeah, I think we have pretty good chemistry. We're very fortunate that the five of us, decided sort of out of nowhere to play D&D and also record it and make a podcast, and it didn't blow up in our faces. So
Yeah.
that's very cool.
I always remember the first episode when Shaft went over to Bryn. The first thing I think I said to Bryn was, "Oh, I didn't know you were incompetent." Yeah. And I wanted to see how this. Well, I was going to know right there at that moment how this was going to go.
What did I say back?
I don't remember right offhand, but it was
All right,
all
listener.
about.
I think it was
all about showing you two that this is role play.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
I'm not
To
John
me.
right now. I can say whatever the frick I want. You gotta react.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
you had a snarky remark, if I recall
Oh, I'm
correctly.
sure I did. That's why I'm curious what I said.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway,
That's my bounty.
right? I mean, I thought I could just like automatically hit people. I didn't even know what I was doing. So
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
sorry. Other question. We got a second question.
We have a question that's much more for Leland. Which way do the rivers in Aspara flow? Is it from the sea in Pisces to the sea in Port Randus, or the other way around? Or do they both simply start at the Tainted Lake and flow out?
So it is like through Pisces to the lake and then back to Port Randus, basically, right? The north to south essentially is how they're flowing.
So in Pisces to the lake, out
Right,
Port
back
Randus?
out to Port Randus, because there is that river that is basically the outflow from. Otherwise, without that river to Port Randus, like that lake would just get flood higher and higher until it matched sea level, right? Basically.
So I will comment on this since I did the map. You made the map, but I copied the
Right.
map. I did watch a whole video on how water flows from high areas to low areas, and rivers would only flow one direction. They would never split from the mountains out into two different directions, and they would never flow in from the ocean, right? And I remember you and I had a conversation about this at one point in time, because I think I remember when I was making a map going, I don't think this works. And I think the conclusion we came to is, this is Aspara, we can do whatever the fuck we want.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, yeah. Basically.
Because it
But
makes that an island, essentially.
I have made comment, though, when we first got to that lake, the taint had not... the black ooze and not
Wait, I don't remember this conversation.
Wait, when did we?
like we have waxed poetical about the taints and all this stuff for
We've waxed the
hours
taint. Oh
after.
my gosh.
We never
I
wax
find
So the-
bleaching is a lot less
The
painful.
black slime had not encroached on that section of river that went through that hill that you all swam up because of the flow of the river flows. Again, at the time you were swimming upriver, and when the Kraken escaped and went to Pisces, it was swimming upriver. So at least that is canon. So yeah, so then the river flows, and then it flows out of the lake through where the dam was constructed, then out to Port Randis. And obviously Port Randis a lot of Port Randis' economy relies on that section of river, because at either end of, where Pisces, where water, ocean meets river in Pisces and in Port Randis, there's obviously going to be like a little estuary, which makes a diverse ecosystem, which Port Randis takes, advantage of, and blah, 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 blah. So, I mean, I think I thought about it a little, at least, before I just took the paint tool and drew a river, but I don't know how it works. I just know at those estuaries, it's just going to be the brackish water where the water can float to the, sinks to the bottom with the fresh water on top, and blah, blah, blah. However that actually works. But essentially,
So
north to
what was
south.
the actual question?
How do the hell did the river
Is that
work?
what was
Which way does the river flow?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's-
However the
it's
fuck
sou-
we want. is what it boils down to.
And the maps that John's referring to are on our website,
Yeah.
incorrigibleparty.com.
Right,
wanna see
yeah.
'em.
John
Yes,
has
they're
made
quite
a lot
good.
of additional
Quite
city
good.
maps as well.
Yeah. John needs to do more of those maps, but John hasn't been doing it recently. I do have the Drucall. I don't think I put the Drucall one up there yet for the north side, but I do think I have part of it.
Ooh, that's exciting.
But I need to do that. I really enjoy making the maps. It's just time consuming. I haven't done it in a while.
Yeah, I don't like that shit, so I'm happy
It's a lot of
that you're taking it on. Well, there's actually also another lake or body of water west of Drucall as well. It has runoff from the mountains that go into that lake. So at least that one works. And then that flows to the ocean on the west coast. So
They're magic.
That's funny.
I blame it on the black slime. I just it fucks everything
There
up.
you go.
Well, thank you
That
for
it?
those questions.
dear.
Yeah, I mean,
Best
it
4
feels like
episodes yet.
when we talk about episodes where there's combat, like the combat is so much of the episodes. There's not that much to really go over, but I was surprised listening back to these 4 episodes, just how much information actually kind of ended up being contained within them.
Thanks for pointing out what we missed.
That's what the after party is for. I felt a nice bit of closure on these maps that I've had created and the list of magical items to be found created for a year and a half since the last time we were here.
Items just, getting moth-eaten and dust-covered, sitting in caves.
Exactly. That blanket really should have a big hole in it, or a patchwork of holes in it. But also, you found winter clothes, so the mountains are probably going to be cold. So think about that, too.
Oh, we probably should grab some of those.
It's a good thing we use them to burn all the bodies.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mia doesn't get cold. She's
Oh,
a
really?
demigod. Yeah.
Oh, really?
We'll see.
You've just made a challenge for Leland now. Great.
Well, Shakara can just flame breath y'all.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, when we get to the mountains, there's going to be a new weather chart.
Oh dear God.
1 through 10 is just going to be blizzard.
Snow. A light snow, a heavy snow.
Exactly. Everything's going to end in
Dusty
snow, but you might get some sun, you might get some overcast. But
How
I'm
these
going to
damn
have to
snow
make a new
globes
weather chart.
grows. Beyond me.
I'm concerned now.
I have a question, though, which is we're only about an hour and a half-ish, so this isn't that long of an episode yet. I have a question, though, for each of you. What are you all expecting Drucall to be like in your experience? Like, what do you foresee happening and going on in Drucall when you get there?
King's Landing.
A utopia.
Yeah. Oh.
Just frolicking, joy, happiness. Abundance
for
of
everybody.
resources. Yes.
You get an amulet.
So many amulets, but then we had to decide which one is the right
King's
one.
Landing's
Joe's
a good.
poorly.
That's good.
Yes.
I think it's either going to be the Drukhall that Shaft knows or fairly similar to it, which is that, you want to make sure you're not in the wrong neighborhoods and going down the wrong alleys. And, there's lots of shady business going on. Or perhaps there may be even more sinister things that have happened since Shaft has last been there.
I think since I've last been there, Neogi are very present.
Yeah.
I
that's
expect to see Neogi.
my concern as well.
Emily, I'll let you go next. What do you think?
I said King's Landing. I expect a naked lady to be walking down the street with nuns shaking a
Shame.
bell saying
Shame.
walking behind her.
Let's do it.
I expect a dirty city that's just a big metropolis with the Darklings still in their alleyways underneath the city running around. And there's probably good areas of the city and bad areas of the city and places where you need to make sure you keep your hand on your purse or it's going to get stolen.
Yeah, I think there's like most places, there's going to be a high society, a oblivious middle class, and a underbelly that we best be on our guard to know where we are and what we need to do in which situation. And then as far as Neogi and things like that are concerned, I think that's going to play into it in some way, but we don't necessarily know how that's. We sort of have a feel. Falzarin and I at least know that the Neogi were there at the wagon at the barn, and we know they had mind control over the what were they called, not the Underlings, the Darklings.
Yeah.
There was something going on there.
They seemed to be associated with
Working
the
together. Yeah.
Right.
I just think in general there's going to be a lot more tattooed faces around. Controlled or not, there's just like a presence there. There has to be.
I mean, we know stuff,
Yeah.
right? Falzarin and I, who will probably reveal if we haven't already, like around the campfire type of thing, that there is the Darklings were gathering, they were stealing stuff, or they were doing things down under the city, and we don't know, may or may not know exactly who's running that situation, and there's a lot to uncover there, and I don't think we just know pieces of information.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how, because we really haven't had a political type of thing either, right?
Hello, Blake Lakely.
Well, yeah, we have Blake. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But I definitely think there's going to be some of all of those three tiers play out in Drukhall.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting.
I think knowing when to say what and when not to say something is going to be very important. Yeah. You mouth off to the wrong person, you may end up in prison or dead.
Yeah, I think it'll be a really interesting contrast, probably, from what we've been used to in Heraklion. Like, I don't imagine there's going to be a lot of similarities.
Yeah, I'm
no
looking
pressure,
forward to
Leland.
it.
Great. City living. Back to city living. All right. Let's have another 100 episodes in a city.
I've enjoyed our time it's been Heraklion, which is Falzarin's very Falzarin centric, but I think I like campaigns that spend some time in cities. It's interesting.
Hey, you wanted some like away from Heraklion time, you were going out spreading your wings, so you'll love the city, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
Fit right in.
You won't be a lost puppy dog at all.
I'm sure Falzarin will fit right in. Just have nothing to worry about.
Well, you already know where magic is, so that's all Falzarin needs to know.
Yeah. Definitely won't get taken advantage of by anyone.
Well, are you gonna go try to offload some of these magic items that you couldn't possibly use?
I think I'll just buy a second bag of holding.
Totally necessary.
Price has gone up.
Yeah, prices have gone up.
Gonna
But
be a
Inflation,
hoarder.
they're in high demand. Wonderful. Best episodes yet.
Yep, I agree.
Best set of
Exactly.
4.
Yep.
All right, if there's nothing else, let's wrap it up. I've been John and Shaft.
I've been Emily and Shakara.
I'm Elena. I play Mia.
I've been Bill and Faldrin.
And I'm Leyland Steele. Happy adventuring.
Yay.
Happy adventuring.
Happy adventuring.
I'll initiate, and then Emily's going to take over.
Everyone going? Everyone
We
running?
haven't done this in
Yes,
weeks.
yep.
Okay, here we go. Wait, Bill's got his hand occupied, and your other hand occupied. There we go.
Impressive, Bill.
3. Yeah, exactly. 3, 2, 1.
I didn't clap. I didn't clap because Bill did it on 2. What was that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you do.
You clapped
It was
early.
like 2.
Bill, it
He
happens
said
to the
3,
best of us.
2, and you clapped on
I swear, this has
Premature
never
clap.
happened.
Can happen to
Bill.
anybody.
Bill. It is usually 1, 2, or 3, 2, 1, and then clap. There is a 1. You don't clap on
so you
1.
don't clap on 2. Got it.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Everybody happy? Everybody good?
I'm
Right? Got your
My
hands in
head
the air?
already hurts.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Clap, Bill.
Okay, that was awful too.
It's fine. It's good enough.
You're welcome, Leland.
3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1.